Stump Daddy Grinding here. Been in business now about, what, 3.5 years, making the first YouTube video. That's the Rayco 55. That's the cleanup rig, the LS 125 toy tractor, as I call it. Little blue, the little engine that could. If you're hesitant about LS tractors, I would not hesitate in the least. I got about 500 hours on this thing, and it's my most reliable piece of equipment. Knock on wood. Yanmar diesel engine. I love this thing. Heated cab, no AC, but it's just, I don't know, it's fun. Load the kids in, take them on rides. There's the truck, the Ram 3500, the trailer. There's Gravedigger. Yeah, I wish they had this shit when I was a kid. Pardon my French, but yeah, Gravedigger. Rayco 55, I got about 550, well, almost 600 hours on it. Pretty reliable machine. I have not had too many issues with this. The biggest issue I've had in the last 3.5 years since I've owned it, and I bought it pretty much damn near new with about 50 hours on it from a tree guy, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Josh Wren. Excellent guy, fireman, good dude. It was basically brand new. Biggest issue I've had in my 3.5 years, I would say, would be I had 3 injectors fail. Somehow the fuel line got contaminated. I duked it out with Rayco and Kubota. This has a Kubota 55 gas, not diesel. I wish it was diesel, but it's gas. Pretty reliable motor. It's a bulletproof motor. Had the injectors, 3 of them fail. Not the motor's fault, something with the fuel intake system. I don't know. It got messy, but that was about a $3,500 fix. I think this one's a 2019. I like tracks. I had a 37 Rayco before this. I did not like wheels, especially if I were to get a wheeled 55. I don't feel that they're stable enough. Those little tires, those little Mario Kart wheels, as I call them, they don't have the leverage. They don't have the traction. I mean, I could drive this thing through a swamp, for crying out loud. I mean, it would suck getting it stuck. I've only gotten it stuck once, but the wheels have a real low, you know, what am I trying to say? When that wheel hits the ground, there's not a lot of platform to keep you afloat. You drive on a wet, muddy lawn, it's going to go right into it. It's going to dig in. Some guys say, oh, it's never happened to me. Okay, all right, I'll take your word on it. This, as long as I'm careful, I've never had a complaint yet that I ripped up somebody's lawn. Yeah, do I have to take a little bit more of a slower, methodical angle to the stump than a wheeled machine? Well, absolutely. But what I love about this is I'm never falling in holes. You know, you grind a hole and you go to the next stump and you sink down in it and you're like, oh shit, did I just flip my machine, or feels like it's gonna roll on you? You never have that. I love that back blade. This thing is basically a mini excavator. In reverse, in low, full RPMs, that thing can push wood chips. As long as you don't get hung up on a rock or a rut, you will not be able to bog this down pushing wood chip dirt mix. I don't care if it's wet. These things are so leverage powerful. It's awesome. I got the remote. Don't buy these if you don't get the remote. I'm telling you right now. That I took the swing panel guard off. That was up here. You know, you can swing the arm around. You can run it with the remote or the control panel. You swing the arm around, it's flinging all the chips right back at you. And if you ran a smaller machine, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, trust me, these have way more power than a 35 or a 25 horse machine. The stuff it's going to kick back, even if you have the shield on, it's like, holy cow. Don't buy these if you don't have the remote. I'm telling you, it's worth the extra $3 to $5 grand that they're quoting them on. I wish I had a video of this thing running with a stump, but again, this is my first video. Guys getting into the business, etc. Start with what you can afford. If you can only afford a 25 or a 35 horse machine, I mean, that's what I started with. You got to do what you got to do. But I tell people this, for the money, this is the best value to grind time you're going to find. Carlton, yeah, they make great stump grinders. Premier, yeah, they make good stump grinders. Bandit, apparently they're good. I haven't ran those. This was my second Rayco machine. I felt comfortable at Rayco. They have pretty darn good tech support and customer service. My dealer is close by. That's the other thing. You want to go with these brands that the dealer is 25 minutes from me. If I wanted to go to a Carlton, I'm north of Milwaukee. The next Carlton dealer is by Chicago, Illinois. I'm not driving a 2-hour drive one way every time I have an issue, especially when it's under warranty. I don't want to have to drive 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So that's the other big advice, is stick with a brand that's got a dealer close by that you trust, and you don't have to truck all the way across state every time you get a breakdown or something that you can't fix. There's a big learning curve with these machines. If you're not, I had no mechanical experience with greasing and, changing oil and just basic stuff. I got a crash course in a lot of stuff. Once you do something once, you can learn pretty quick on these machines. YouTube. I'm not going to say YouTube is the end all, but there's a lot of videos out there. Something you should consider is a cleanup rig. Do you need to go as elaborate as this? No. But I'll tell you what, after my first 6 months doing this, shoveling wood chips into a barrel and loading them into my truck in 90-degree heat, it got old pretty quick. I mean, this is not that big of a tractor. It's a glorified lawnmower, but with that loader bucket, man, this thing can lift wood chips like you wouldn't believe, and in a timely manner. I mean, I could probably move 7 yards of mulch from a big silver maple stump in 25, 30 minutes, not even. I got the back blade, scrape everything into a pile, turn around. I got the snow plow on now, but with the loader, boom, you're moving piles. So, enclosed trailer, do you need one? No. Are they nice? Yes. Do they have a lot of problems? Absolutely. Something to consider. This machine weighs about 4,000 pounds, give or take, depending on how much fuel you have in there. I always err on this, 32, 34, 3,700 pounds, I think the manual says. I always just, 4,000 pounds. It's probably less than that. That's a lot of weight on a trailer. If you get an enclosed, try to get the 7,000 pound axles. You're going to pay for it, probably by $3 or $4 grand. Bigger lug nut pattern, bigger tires, can hold more weight, take more of a beating. That ramp on the back of my trailer, which is rated for 5,000 pounds, it was almost a $2,000 upgrade, but I needed it to have an enclosed because the other one only could hold 1,700 pounds. I've already broke the hinges off that trailer once. They re-welded everything on there. It was a shoddy weld job, but they reinforced it. But that's the thing with enclosed trailers. They take a beating. You need to have the upgraded axles. If I did it again enclosed, it would be suicide doors and skid steer ramps, and have a plate on both sides for the tracks welded to the trailer to hook the ramps onto, is what I would do. But I tell you what, it's nice coming back from a day of grinding and everything's in there. It's locked. It's secure. Your shit's out of the elements. Machines like this, don't just store them. My dad's got a hobby farm where I store some of my stuff in the trailer. If I left that in the barn, mice would be chewing on those hoses, chewing on electrical. There's way too much at stake here to let something sit in a barn with critters. If you're just starting out, when I started out, I had a landscape trailer. Those are fine. But again, make sure, don't do what I did and then buy a trailer that can only hold the stump grinder and not the tractor. The sky is the limit in terms of how much what you can upgrade to equipment-wise. You get a mini skid, or a tractor for cleanup, if you're doing the landscape trailer, make sure that it's rated to hold like 2 pieces of equipment. We got FedEx going on over here. Okay, all right, let's back up here. A lot of 4-letter words. Make sure you get a trailer that can hold 2 pieces of equipment, because you're probably going to want a cleanup rig or maybe a backup machine. You know, maybe you already have a stump grinder. You want to get a bigger one. You know, buy an equipment trailer like a deck over or whatever that can support the weight for 2 machines, because you don't want to have to go and buy another trailer. Or, you know, once you sell a used trailer, it goes off a cliff. So, all right, that's a wrap. That's my first video. Welcome to Stump Daddy Grinding.